Hi and welcome along to ArsenalFanTV. In this video we're going to take a look at the upcoming game against Ludogorets. Arsenal versus Ludogorets in the Champions League. Champions League football returns and big game. Every Champions League game is a big game, especially this year where Arsenal have a really good chance of qualifying top of the group. We've got that great point away from home on the first game against PSG. Followed it up with a really emphatic victory over Basel. We beat them 2-0. Could have been more on the day, but it was a really, really fantastic performance by Arsenal. Really dynamic in the game. And now the third game, Ludogorets. In fact, we're going into back-to-back games against Ludogorets, the Bulgarian champions. Now, listen, we cannot look on this game and just think to ourselves it's going to be a complete walkover. We know that Ludogorets are the minnows of the group, but you know what? They've proven already that they're no pushovers. The first game, they went away from home and they got a very good draw at Basel, which is not an easy place to go to. A lot of English clubs have come a cropper there over the years. And in their second game against PSG, they were actually leading that game 1-0. PSG did come back and win the game 3-1 in the end, but showed that they are a decent team. Any team that are the champions of their country must be respected, and Ludogorets must be respected. Liverpool can tell you that. Liverpool have been to Ludogorets before in 2014 and were only able to get a draw in that game 2-2. So we cannot take Ludogorets lightly, and it's something that Arsenal have done over the years. We've gone into certain Champions League games and we've taken teams lightly. Who can forget the time when we got beaten by Monaco? I mean, for me that day, we took Monaco lightly. And even Olympiacos, you know, last season, took Olympiacos lightly, got beaten. So we've really got to make sure that we put in a similar sort of performance to what we've been seeing over the past few games. Theo Walcott, in a press conference, was asked about the Ludogorets game, and he made that point. He said, listen, we cannot take Ludogorets lightly. We've got to treat them with the respect that they deserve. If we do that and we go out there and play our game, we should win, but we can't take them lightly. And I agree with him completely. Ludogorets, they don't really have many standout players. They've got Jonathan Cafu, the Brazilian, out on the wing. Is a very, very decent player. And he could give Nacho Monreal some issues. Monreal, of course, didn't have the greatest of game at the weekend. He got a bit of a torrid time against Barrow, but on the whole, he's been solid this season. But one thing, we're going to have to stiffen up the defence again. There's one thing about Saturday's game is that the defence was very poor. Granit Xhaka in particular had an absolute nightmare in the game. As I said, Monreal was getting skinned up. And even the second goal, Mustafi was, you know, I'm going to put a lot of it down to the fact that it was straight after the international break, but they've got to get their concentration levels back up. Now, it's very important, as far as I'm concerned, to win this game. We're going into back-to-back games with Ludogorets, and if we can get 6 points out of those two games, we'd be virtually guaranteed that we're going through to the next stages of the Champions League. And it'd be really good to nail that down early. But as I said, even more importantly, we want to win the group. We don't want to go into our usual thing where we get through the group stage and then we get Barcelona, we get Bayern Munich. You know, we want to give ourselves a great chance of progressing as far as we can in the tournament this year. And to do that, I think we need to try and take, you know, well, at home, our home games, we need to take maximum points. If we take maximum points in our home games, we'll probably win this group. So it's very important that we do get 3 points here, get 3 points against Ludogorets away. You know, that will put us in a very good position on 10 points, more or less qualified already. Then we can hunt down trying to top this group. What about the teams? Or should I say the team? I don't know a lot about Ludogorets, but the team for Arsenal, what sort of team would you put out on the day? Well, I suppose he's definitely going to go for Ospina in goal. Ospina, of course, has been playing in the Champions League games, and you have to say he's acquitted himself very well so far in the game, so I have no issue with him continuing. But what about the back four? And would you guys make a lot of changes for this game? Is it a risky thing to do? Because There were some players on Saturday that you could see after the international break, they looked a little bit tired. Guys like Alexis, who's done a lot of travelling over the past week, looked a little bit jaded on Saturday. Or do you just go into this game all guns blazing? I mean, we got the game on Wednesday and then we don't play again until, of course, the weekend. It is a Saturday game, so it is a quick turnaround. Should we rest a few players? And the positions I'm thinking about is maybe... the back four, you're probably going to have Hector Bellerin. I'd stick with him. He didn't really... He played the under-21s in the international week, but I'd stick with him. Mustafi Koscielny, I'd go with. And then probably on the left-hand side now, do you say give Monreal a rest and bring in Gibbs? Gibbs has come in and has performed really, really well so far this season. Is that an option? Just in front of him, I think I'd stick Granit Xhaka in there, especially the fact that he's going to miss a few games now because of that red card. Coquelin, of course, is still coming back from injury. So perhaps go with Granit Xhaka there. You could also put El Neni in there as well, because El Neni hasn't done anything wrong when he's played so far this season. But maybe Granit Xhaka, as I said, he's going to be out for a couple of games, so get him playing. So maybe Granit Xhaka there. Then in front of them, listen, for me, it's got to be, you've got to have Ozil in there. You've got to have Santi Cazorla. Ramsey's not back yet, so it's not an option to bring him into there. So I'd have those two there. Out wide, do you keep Theo Walcott in there, or would he be perhaps tempted to bring Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in there, who I thought looked really, really sharp when he came on at the weekend? Personally, I'd stick with Theo Walcott. He's banging in the goals at the moment. You don't want to mess with that flow. Scored in his last game as well in the Champions League against Basel. So I'd have him in there. Iwobi on the left. Do we stick with Iwobi? Again, looked a bit tired when he came off at the weekend. Switch it maybe bring in, again, you know, bring in Oxlade-Chamberlain, put him on the right, Theo on the left maybe, perhaps. No, stick with Iwobi. I'd stick with Iwobi. That's just my thoughts. And up front, this is the interesting one. Now, as I said, Alexis, he looked a bit tired, but he's been playing so well this season. Even though it wasn't his greatest of games at the weekend, still 2 assists. And the sort of player that Ludogorets will be frightened to death against playing against. Or do you give Lucas Perez his debut in that game? Lucas Perez, a Champions League debut, let him come on, all guns blazing. He must be chomping at the bit to be playing. And then sort of save Alexis more for the weekend. That, to me, is the quite interesting one. Listen, I think it's a game we need to win, so I would go with Alexis, me personally, starting. But it's definitely something to think about. We've got to get this guy, Lucas Perez, playing. Probably would have came on at the weekend, but because of the sending off, obviously, Arsene Wenger had to adjust the team around to make sure that we didn't ship any more goals. So again, he was a bit unlucky and he kind of lost out. I'm sure he would have probably came on at some stage for Alexis Sanchez. So that's the interesting thing. I want you to leave your team in the comments below. Give me what you think the team should be. Should we just go, stick with the same team, go out there, get the job done? Or would you make some changes? We've got Middlesbrough coming up at the weekend. Middlesbrough would have had a week's rest, no football. So do we hold back some of our main players so that they go into that game fresh? Let us know. Leave it in the comments below. But that's the game. Wednesday night, Arsenal versus Ludogorets at home. 7:45 kickoff. Champions League football is back. And really, really looking forward to it.